Hey everyone, Garbage here. So today I want to show you a really simple but also kind of clever solution to a pretty tough problem in game design. So right now I'm in Overwatch and I'm playing the character Hanzo, and one of the things that makes Hanzo special is that he has the ability to climb walls. So if you were to go up to a wall and hold down the spacebar, he'll climb up the wall, his hands will do a climbing animation, and it works great. Now, one situation where this might get a little weird is if you were to try to climb something narrow like this, in which case it looks fine, but if you were to slow down the footage, you'll see that Hanzo's hands aren't actually touching anything. In fact, they're just kind of clawing at the air, which would obviously make it very difficult to climb something if you were to try that in real life. Now, the reason why this is happening is, of course, because the climbing animation is just a generic pre-baked animation that is used in every single climbing situation, and it doesn't change according to the geometry of whatever it is you're climbing. And you'll notice that this happens a lot in video games, where if your character needs to interact with something in the world around it, it will use a generic pre-baked animation that sort of vaguely represents the action you're supposed to be taking. And it all comes down to the very nature of video games, because the player is in control of their character, and so it's just not really feasible to create 1,000 different variations of the same animation to account for every possible angle that you might want to approach a wall from when you're climbing it. And so instead, the developers opt to just use a single generic animation that applies to all situations. And they figure, you know what, the players aren't even going to notice. It's going to look great and no one's going to complain. And of course, there is a way to get around this using procedural animations, but it's quite a bit of extra work for something that most players aren't even going to notice. And in most of the situations where your character actually does properly interact with something like a lever or a doorknob or something, the game will take full control of your character so that it can move it to a predetermined spot, so that when the animation plays out, everything lines up correctly. Now, one sort of exception that I've been able to find is in the game Apex Legends, where if you climb up a wall but don't go all the way to the top, your character will grab onto the ledge. But you'll notice that I still have control over my camera so I can look around. Now, in this situation, you are unable to move, and your character's body is sort of stuck in this wall-hanging pose that could easily be tacked onto pretty much any vertical surface that you can hang onto, and it'll still look pretty good. And so it's kind of an interesting compromise, because it gives you a little bit of freedom to look around, but all of the important bits like the hands and the body stay static so that it ensures that everything stays lined up. Just an interesting little detail that I noticed about this game, and I do believe that games like Mirror's Edge also have something similar to this, though I'm not 100% sure about that. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this little look into something that you may not have noticed happening in a lot of your games, and maybe you learned something by watching the video. If you want to come hang out with me and watch me play games, I am streaming most days of the week on my second channel as well as on Twitch. Links to both will be in the description below. This week I'm going to be playing a bit of PUBG, a little bit of Paladins, and a little bit of whatever else that I feel like playing, and I think it's going to be a good time, so come check it out. Also, links to my Discord and Twitter down below as well. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe, press the bell button, and as always, have a nice day.